Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Over It. My name is Michelle Kinney. I'm your co-host today, along with the beautiful ladies, JoJo from Jers. She is the author of Are You Effing Kidding Me on Salty Politics, and also one of the principals and co-founders of The Siren, which you should all be listening to and subscribing to. And we also have the wonderful Julie Roginsky. She is the author of Salty Politics on Substack as well. And we're here with you today to talk about things that we are over, which it's a long list and it's hard to pick just one, but here we are. Gals, how we doing today?
Good. Hey, Joe, I didn't realize that you were now on my Salty Politics Substack, but
I appreciate the upgrade. Yeah.
I just want to Joe is on Substack on Are You Effing Kidding Me? Michelle is so wonderful to give me 2 shout outs, but Joe has her own thing.
Wait, what did I say?
She said that her Substack was on my Substack, and it's not. I just want to clarify that Joe has her own much incredible.
No, I know. I thought I said hers was Are You Effing Kidding Me? And yours is Salty Politics. Did I not say that?
You did, but you said hers was on Salty Politics rather than on Substack. So it's fine.
Well, I did. Oh my God.
I will consider it an upgrade. But I
should never start. You guys need to start.
I'm starting. I just want to say hi to everybody. First of all, I apologize for missing the last couple. I've had some crazy stuff the last week that has not been good for me personally. Like I lost 2 family members who I love dearly. But and then of course soccer is every Saturday at 9 a.m., which is again a war crime against soccer moms. But it's good to be back. Still missing Tara, who will be back, I think, next week, right? I think
she'll be back for Saturday.
Saturday.
Yeah, she's flying like tomorrow or the next day or something like that. Yeah.
She's on this side of 50, which honestly, my 50s, I'm only 51, only, but my 50s are my favorite decade so far. But I am so fired up right now about something. I just want to put this out there really fast. Yeah. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but CNN is is running this excerpt from Kamala Harris's book that they are cherry picking because the full excerpt says one thing, and what they're doing is cherry picking one word out. So in her book excerpts, she says the question of whether or not Joe Biden and Jill Biden should have really been the only people charged with making the decision of whether or not he should run. Was that reckless? Maybe so. She says, and she kind of lays some blame at her own feet. It should have been larger, a larger conversation, et cetera, et cetera. So what is CNN doing? If you guys have seen this, CNN is Kamala Harris says Joe Biden's decision to run again was recklessness.
Oh, yeah.
That's not what she said. And that's not responsible journalism. And it's pissing me off because they're trying to say now that Kamala is going after Joe, and that is flatly false. And they even said, last thing I'll say about his mental acuity. She said, was Joe Biden smart? All these things. Yes, yes, yes. Was he tired because he was older? Yes. They said, Kamala Harris says Joe Biden was tired.
Yeah, that's literally the breaking news that came up on my phone from the New York Times.
It is infuriating because if you read the whole excerpt, she doesn't say that he was tired as the top line. She says he was fully competent. And then she even goes further to say, if he wasn't, I would have said so because it's country first. So they are cherry picking these 2 quotes. And I'm sorry, it's been a minute since I've been here and I got some shit to say. But that is fucking infuriating. Sorry, Julie's dad. Bullshit. Fuck you.
Well, Joe, I'm glad you brought this up. I didn't know you were going to, but since
I didn't either.
No, but since you did, I have some stuff to get off my chest too. That's CNN. Because you're right. I think what's happened, I don't know what has shifted. Well, I can guess what's shifted in the last few months, but all of a sudden you're having people like Ben Shapiro being platformed on Abby Phillips' show. You have people like Jillian Michaels being platformed. You have fucking sorry dad Scott Jennings, who's there 24/7 spewing his bullshit and being really rude about it. And whenever you raise a point that actually is a fact and not opinion, he becomes very personally rude.
Yeah. And then he goes and complains like a little bitch.
Then he goes and complains. I'm sure he does. And the reality is that it is getting to the point where I was watching, what the hell? This brings me actually to my overage. You set it up perfectly. So I'll just get into it. I was watching CNN last night, not because I watch cable news, because I think when you worked in cable news as long as I did, you understand how the sausage is made and you really don't want to watch. But my husband is a bit of a you know.
Yeah. It's like going backstage at Disney World. You're never the same.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
No thanks.
Which I have been, and it kind of ruined it for me.
Don't ruin the magic. I don't want to see the backstage.
Well, the
I was
magic.
a cast member for a day, guys. Cast member for a
I
day.
know.
Ah,
Go ahead.
well,
No.
the magic kingdom of cable news was ruined for me when I spent a lot of time there watching how the sausage is made. And
Speaking of fucking goofy, sorry, right there.
yeah, but my husband watches it. So last night, Michelle and I did a live, and then I went downstairs to reintroduce myself to my family who have not seen me because I've been so busy the last few days. And my husband's watching CNN. And as he's watching CNN, I am kind of half tuning out, and I look because I spent a lot of time on European media outlets looking at Russian stuff because they do a much better job covering it. I see that the Russian Federation has crossed into Polish airspace and is launching drones. This is not a mistake. Launched, I think, at least 13 to 17 drones at air bases where Europeans, and it used to be us until Trump pulled us out, used to send aid to Ukraine close enough to shut down Warsaw Airport. Like, this is a real escalation on a NATO country. And I'm watching this, and I'm texting my friend Olga Lautman, who some of you may know because I do a live with her a couple times a week. She's really a Russia expert. And I said, what is going on? And she said, holy shit. She actually texted, we both texted each other almost at the same time. And we're like, this is shades of 1939. Like the escalation is coming. This is no longer on Ukraine, which is bad enough. This is on a NATO country, which could today invoke Article 5. And we have to, according to Article 5, I mean, we have a president who's not going to honor it, but nevertheless, Article 5, as if you're a member of NATO, means that you have to go to Poland's defense, which means that we are now going to war on behalf of Poland. And I'm like, this is a big deal. So I'm watching CNN, and I'm watching CNN, and I'm watching CNN, and it's Epstein A block, Epstein B block, Epstein C block. And I'm like, okay, I get it. I love Jeffrey Epstein stories as much as the next girl. But like, this is for real. Like, I actually had a fear in the pit of my stomach that I haven't had really since 9/11, because I was like, holy shit. Like, you start automatically projecting, I have a young son. Is he going to be drafted? Like, all this stuff that you're starting to worry about. And so then he flips over to MSNBC, and there's Jen Psaki, and she's interviewing somebody on Epstein, and it's more Epstein, and it's more Epstein. And I finally text Olga Lautman, and I go, we got to go live. Not because I necessarily wanted to go live at 9:30 at night, but because it was like, I felt like we had to tell people. And we got like thousands of people like this joining us on our live. It was crazy. People are hungering for real news, while these jerk-offs, as you point out so well, Joe, are misconstruing what Kamala Harris said. Who gives a shit, by the way, what Kamala Harris has to say about Joe Biden? Like, it's over.
Yeah.
I don't know what she said. Buy the book. Like, fine. Buy the book, have her on, interview her. Fine, if that's she's on a media tour. But there is real news happening. And by the way, they did not invoke Article 5. I want to be clear because I see in the chat people are concerned. They ultimately ended up invoking Article 4, which means that there has to be a meeting now of the North Atlantic Council. This is the 7th time in the almost 80-year history of NATO that Article 4 has been invoked, just to underscore how serious this is. And all night, I'm sitting there. I couldn't go to sleep. Again, everybody here knows my bedtime is like, I'm like a child. Like, my bedtime is young, like 9:30. But I'm staying up all night, and I'm watching the New York Times, and there's nothing there. Nothing. It's all about the Federal Reserve, and it's all about like real news, obviously, that has to be covered. Finally, this morning, the Times runs with this big story and this big analysis. But the reality is that this is what you're talking about. This is what I'm so over. Like, we used to go to CNN for real news. Seriously, like, we used to go to CNN to find out what breaking news was
That's
happening.
where I went last night I went there first, being like, oh, surely they must have some foreign correspondent. Like, nope.
They have resources all over the world. They have people embedded in Moscow. They have people in Warsaw. They have people in Ukraine. They have people in, I assume in Belgium and NATO headquarters. Like, they have people everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And yet nothing. And instead, Joe, as you point out, they are not only doing what you're talking about, but also clearly somebody must have gotten a threat from the White House, because there's this thing going around now where every time they talk about Trump and Epstein.
Yeah, that's part of my over it, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, then I won't cut you off. But yeah, it's so frustrating to me, because like, this would be, I don't want to exaggerate. This is going to sound hysterical, and I don't mean it to. But imagine when German tanks rolled into Poland on September 1st, 1939,
Mm-hmm.
and the local media here, or the media in the United States, was like, yeah, okay, well, let's talk about what's happening with some sex scandal. Let's talk about, I mean, like, I don't mind
Right.
talking about
And they
Epstein.
kind of did. I mean, like a lot of the puff pieces that the New York Times was writing about Hitler in the 30s, like, I mean, is pretty what? It's like, oh, Hitler rehabilitated through jail or prison or whatever. I mean, it's very reminiscent of like what we're dealing with now. It's just kind of everyone underestimating, the cruelty, power of these horrible people, and a lack of imagination, is how these things continue to happen.
So
Yeah.
and I'm sorry, just to finish up, and then sorry,
Yeah.
Joe, I spent all night literally researching what is happening, why it's happening now, what has happened that led Putin to do this now. Like, I kind of knew, but I needed to obviously back up all my contentions with facts. And I wrote it, and it's on Substack. But the point is, what pisses me off is like, I'm not even a like somebody in the chat just asked, like, where do we go for real news now? Here. I mean, I hate to say this, but like here.
Yeah.
Because we're doing the work that people are not doing. And cable news for sure. The Times is delayed.
Mm-hmm.
The Washington Post is good on the news gathering, awful on everything else.
Yeah.
And here, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I had to break down my night last night to go live to talk about this, because nobody else was doing this. And I was like, well, wait a second, this is ridiculous.
Insane. And another thing that was, then we have something to bring in after this, and I want us to finish this, obviously, but there is someone who wants to come in and say hello. But I just do want to show this really quick, because this was also going on. This has happened 1 year ago today.
Yeah.
In relation to what you're talking about, Julie, this is the Kamala Harris story everyone should be talking about today.
Otherwise, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv with his eyes on the rest of Europe, starting with Poland. And why don't you tell the 800,000 Polish Americans right here in Pennsylvania how quickly you would give up for the sake of favor and what you think is a friendship with what is known to be a dictator who would eat you for lunch.
Oh, well, that was prophetic. I mean, honestly, like
1 year ago today.
Jesus,
1
what?
year ago
Wow.
today.
Thank you for wow. I mean, that's mind blowing, because here we are, a year to the day, and this is exactly what is happening. And as George Conway tweeted just earlier, the only reason why Putin would send drones into Poland would be that he doesn't believe Donald Trump would ultimately honor America's commitment to NATO, and he wants to test that proposition, aka eat him for lunch. Donald Trump, who has consistently said, I'm not happy with Vladimir Putin, and then done exactly nothing. By the way, Putin's bombings of Ukraine have been worse, much worse. The worst of this entire war, which is not a war, it's a fucking invasion, since it began under Donald Trump. Because I believe that Trump wants to do the mob bust, the plausible deniability shit. Ah, there she is.
Oh my God! Again, nobody likes a girl who shows up with that view while we're all sitting here.
That view and that freaking beautiful skin, and my God, you're just dripping, just like. Okay,
oh my God! All right, throw her up.
Right. Let me be angry and miserably cold New Jersey. Freaking Tara, beautiful Setmayer in freaking Sicily.
I've seen enough. Goodbye.
God, can't we just go back to the dystopian hellscape that is our reality right now?
You're bitching, complaining, Tara's just sipping out of a what Chardonnay. I don't even know what you said.
Oh my God! No, it's like some kind of beautiful Italian white, like I'm sure. But hello, hi.
It's actually It's actually called a Casa Rota, which is from Mount Etna area. It's a
Oh, of
different
course,
type
it's
of
from a
grape.
volcano. She's
Yeah.
in front of a volcano. She looks blissfully happy as we're going off about fucking Poland and Putin and the fucking Kinkles McTaco tits.
It's a white wine with a hint of magma.
Yes.
Oh yes, hint of volcanic
Yes.
ash.
A hint of magma.
Listen,
Not MAGA.
I come
magma.
home tomorrow. I'm coming home tomorrow, and it's been a blissful 2 weeks here, celebrating my birthday. I'm officially in the 50s club with you guys.
Woo! We love the
Michelle.
Welcome.
It's weird. It's weird for me. But
Shouldn't be.
I did want to pop on, and I didn't want to interrupt what you guys were doing too much, but I just wanted to pop on and say hi because I missed you guys. And it's been a, interesting time while I've been overseas. And it's sobering.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, it's sobering.
Well, you had that viral
attitude
tweet.
here. Yeah, I was telling my friends here in Sicily, we were just talking, and I was like, it's the first time that the reality is setting in that the United States is not what it once was overseas. Like when you're in it here every day, you're kind of like, but when you're out of the country somewhere else and people are asking you like, what's going to happen to America? Are you guys okay? Like what is going on? We don't understand. I don't have any answers.
Yeah.
What do I tell them? What do I tell them?
Pour me another glass of wine. That's what you tell them.
That's why we drink.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. But like
are your friends
real.
Italians or are they American expats?
So some are Italian, some are British. So some are actually, it's kind of funny. It's a whole mixture. Some are Sicilian, some are American expats, some are British expats, and some are Belgian expats. So it's a little bit of everything.
I too would like to be on vacation, Tara.
Well, Michelle, look how quickly it's somewhere tropical. It's amazing. It's amazing how clearly you're still coming in despite the fact
it looks so realistic. I mean, oh my God.
Where's Snoop Dogg with your Corona handing it to you?
Yeah. But like,
Stewart?
seriously, but Tara, like I want to talk about this, and I know you're in a blissfully happy place. You're literally glowing. Like it's like I love you, but I'm like I want to glow, and I don't feel like I know how to glow anymore. But you're glowing. But you had this tweet that was very resonant with people about this very thing, and I think it resonated with people both living abroad, which a lot of people who follow all of us, and a lot of people who interact with all of us do live overseas. But it really resonated with people here, and this is like not a political issue at all. This is, like you said, this is the United States of America losing its standing and reputation, something that's been building up for generations, something that, men and boys and others crossed oceans to fight for. It's not just sliding. It's at the edge of the cliff, if not already teetering halfway over.
Yeah.
I mean,
yes.
And I gotta tell you,
Europeans are very plugged in. Like they're very plugged into what's going on. Our conversation tonight, we're having a get together because Marcel and I are leaving tomorrow. So we're having like a dinner party before we go. And I'm like, I don't want to leave. I'm like, I don't want to go. But the conversation, the first question they asked me was, did you see what happened in Poland? Did you see what happened with this flotilla in Venezuela? They're like, they're very tuned in because it impacts them. Like what's happening
and their
in
wars
Poland.
have always happened. Right. Like their grandparents didn't cross oceans. Like they can see the history around them of the wars that their families have endured and survived. And so like it's at their front door, the back doors, it's everywhere, right? I mean, that's
the Brits. The Brits had
they're very sensitive to it. I told them all to subscribe to Julie's Substack to to understand what's going on with Russia, and I told them about the show that the Pax Americana show with Olga. I was like, they're like, oh, because they're they that's how they stay in touch with what's happening over here. A lot of them are on Substack. Some of their parents, their older parents, they're over here, and they're like, The algorithm is crazy. They have no idea what's happening in other parts of the world because the algorithm doesn't allow them to see it. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Wow.
It's crazy. So it's not just America. Yeah.
Yeah, but at least Mark Zuckerberg is sitting next to his ass at the freaking White House, kissing his ass and supping at his taint like a freaking toady. Like, oh, it's good. And we're talking about freedom of speech in places like in England, etc. And you're like, to your point, but you know, it's fine because the oligarchs, this is what they wanted and this is what they're getting. And it's not just impacting the United States. I mean, really, where we go, the world goes.
Yeah.
And if I were you, Tara, I would stay.
Listen, I wish I could, but I can't because there's work to be done back home. My kitty's back home and my parents are back home and you guys are there. So I have to come back. But interestingly enough, one of the first questions that my British friends asked was about censorship. And they said, like, is this censorship real? Like in America now? Like, what is this? And I thought that was an interesting question for them to ask.
Well, it's a low roll, right? It's
that's
a great question. It's sneaky. It's sneaky.
Yes.
It's not overt, right?
Well, unless you have a blue tent outside the White House, in which case they're going to take it down. And because that's different, right? That's those are just protesters that they can, remove forcibly.
Crazy.
But it's self-censorship, Michelle, which I think kind of brings us to your
it's like the chilling effect, right?
Like,
So my over it, and this has been my over it many times, is the American media. And this is it's a pretty broad criticism today. First, I want to show. I'll give credit to Tennessee Holler. If you follow Tennessee Holler across platforms, they're really great at curating a lot of this stuff. There's obviously some talking points that are going on over at CNN, or some rules that have been laid down saying this is what you have to say about the Epstein story. This is how you essentially need to defend Donald Trump. I'm just going to play this here.
It's important too. We've seen no sign of wrongdoing on Trump's part.
No reason to think he's detected any wrongdoing involving Jeffrey Epstein. You noted, you're a prosecutor, you're a lawyer here. There's this defamation.
I would say we have lots of reasons to think he was involved in wrongdoing. I mean, at this point, there's a lot of smoke. There may be some fire, but I would just push back and say I think there's a lot of reason to think Donald Trump was involved.
Involved with what? I'm sorry, what exactly, what proof do you have that he was involved with wrongdoing in regards to Jeffrey Epstein? And if that's the case, why have there been no prosecutions over 20 years here? Because there haven't really been any allegations that he was involved with wrongdoing.
There are a lot of connections where Donald Trump was named, right? We had a 14-year-old claiming that she was raped by him, then withdrew that claim after she was apparently threatened. His name appears a lot, and again, we at this point, our job is to find justice for these survivors, and that means that we need to continue digging, knowing that there is a cover-up taking place right now. And I didn't say that we have proof. At this point, we have like a lot of smoke.
So
keep playing it because I think it's relevant.
Yeah. So that's the end of that clip. And I just want to say, it's like, well, there have been no prosecutions. Let's, again, as a journalist, I would want to point out the fact that in the American justice system, rape victims and victims of sexual assault are routinely threatened, dismissed, terrorized, targeted, discredited. And that's why women, time and time again, if they do bring their allegations forward, it is extremely difficult to get, anybody to be, like, look at the Diddy thing. I mean, it's on tape, for God's sakes. And they're like, well, maybe not, because they went back in the room. They will find everything they can to not prosecute. And this is why often, especially if you're going against the most powerful men in the world, former presidents, billionaires, tech oligarchs. I mean, this is who you're going against. I mean, I want to pull this up because now I just want to trigger warning. This is very upsetting. So I just want to, lead with that. But this is from September of 2016, Courthouse News Service. Okay. A woman who says Donald Trump raped her at a private sex party when she was 13 years old, refiled a lawsuit against him Friday, 2 weeks after voluntarily dismissing a suit based on the same claims. The new complaint filed in the federal court in Manhattan restates plaintiff Jane Doe's claims in the earlier lawsuit, namely that she was lured by a recruiter to summer parties hosted by co-defendant Jeffrey Epstein at an Upper East Side mansion on East 71st Street, tied to a bed and forcibly raped by Donald Trump, who slapped her with an open hand and told her he would do whatever he pleased with her. 13 years old. And I did the math here, like in terms of what year this was. That is about how old I was when this happened. Like,
Yeah.
I think about that, and it took my breath away. And sorry, go ahead.
Berman, like, who did Ghislaine Maxwell sex traffic people to? No one. Like,
Right.
This is the part when there've been no convictions. That's the fucking problem. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but like, you're a journalist. Like, and by the way, if they've done nothing wrong, why are you sending your former personal criminal defense attorney down to Florida to give immunity to the only person who could either exonerate you, sort of, right, or actually tell the truth about who they were trafficked to, and then move her to a bougie club fed when everybody knows, Tara, better than most people, that's not what they do with people who are sentenced to 20 years in prison for child sex trafficking. But Berman and all the rest of those cowards, I'm sorry, but this is cowardice, who are towing this line, they're also complicit in re-traumatizing these survivors. Like, this is infuriating. I'm sorry. I just needed to say that.
No, I was reading through this today because I remembered hearing about this, and I remember it being a very, very young girl and there being a slap across the face, and that the accusation was of rape. And it says the new complaint includes an additional witness exhibit from an anonymous Joan Doe, whose sworn declaration says Jane Doe told her what happened with Trump and Epstein during the 1994-1995 school year. Like, guys, I was 13 in 1995. I was the same age as this little girl. And it's like, I had never put that together until I read that this morning. And I was like, oh my God, I can't wrap my head around it. And so for any journalist, somebody with a platform, that there's this fear, and that's where the self-censorship comes in. You have corporate overlords, first of all, threatening your job and your livelihood, saying, well, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't say that. And literally no courage. I mean, except for people like Jim Acosta, right? Who dared to speak up, who dared to step forward and say no, and went on his way. And look, he's doing great. And, that's why independent journalism and independent media outlets, like what JoJo is building at the Siren, what we're trying to do here at Mayday, is because we need places where we have independent voices and independent thought. And we don't have corporate overlords playing us like puppets, telling us what we can say and what we can't say. And like Julie last night with Olga on Substack, going through what's going on with European media, sifting through that and trying to, put a report together to give us. And it's this shouldn't have to happen. We shouldn't be here, but we are. And the last thing I just want to say about this is that, I grew up in Northern New York, where is it a bit of a desert for journalism. And this is why people like Elise Stefanik are able to represent their districts and Claudia Tenney year after year after year and are never held to account. They just kind of regurgitate and say, oh, isn't that nice? And oh, they came to visit today. Well, Tom Homan, who is from 20 minutes away from where I grew up. Now, I want to preface this by saying the reporter that they sent down to the White House from Northern New York, local guy, he's been at the station for 20 years. I knew him back in the day. He's a great guy. He's a very nice person. He's very smart. This is not a dig on him. I get it. However, this is the same kind of shit that local journalism is falling to. Like, there's no investigative reporting. There is no accountability. And I just want to play this excerpt. Now, apparently they're trying to stretch this interview over several days to get as much content out of it as possible. I understand. But this is what they aired on the news, I think, last night.
West Carthage to the West Wing. 7 News goes to Washington to talk one-on-one with border czar Tom Homan. 7 News anchor Jeff Cole is live at the White House tonight to tell us more about his interview that happened earlier today. Jeff?
Aaron, immigration is a hot issue facing the country right now, clearly. Many people like what border czar Tom Homan is doing. Others don't like it at all. They in fact hate it, and he knows it. In our 40 minutes that we got to spend with Tom Homan today, we were in the White House for the interview. I pressed him on how immigration seems to have gone from targeting criminals and going after the worst first to basic focusing on people who are in the country illegally, no matter where they are, on a farm, in a manufacturing plant, maybe in a routine traffic stop. Homan says if you want to come to the greatest country on earth, you have to follow the laws to be here. Critics will say the approach is extreme, and what has been going on is extreme. He knows that there are people who support him, but he knows it's not everyone. On the flip side, there are some people that are going to disagree. They don't approve of your job and what you're doing. Some people hate you. I don't think that's an unfair characterization of it, right? What do you say to them? Because
I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm not running a popularity contest. And I think if they saw what I saw in my career since 1984, over 40 years doing this, let them get on their knees and talk to a 9-year-old girl that got raped multiple times coming across that border.
Huh. That's a rich thing to say.
Ed Homan continued to talk about different events that he has seen over his law enforcement career as to why he feels that the policies that he's put into place along with the White House, why they are important. So we talked about policy, very clearly an important thing, but we also talked about the personal side of a guy from West Carthage coming to the West Wing to work for President Trump. And we learned about his office, how it's 20 steps from the Oval Office from President Trump. We learned a lot in our interview. We're going to be having stories over the next few days, giving you the information that we learned. But for now, that's our report. Live from the White House in Washington, D.C., I'm Jeff Cole. Aaron, back to you.
What?
You know what that is? Like, now we're going to go to Solingen, Germany, to see what Adolf Eichmann's childhood was like. From Solingen to Berlin.
It's like from Carthage to the White House. I'm like, who gives a shit? Sorry, Julie's dad. But like, seriously.
But this is what they do. They are, because they know, like, this is probably the biggest interview that guy's had
ever
in God knows how long.
And again, like, Jeff Cole's not a bad person. Like, I know people, we have friends in common, like, and listen, he is a step above everybody else that they have in the area. Trust me. He's like very good comparatively. But I'm like, this could have been international news. You could have made that kind of step forward and asking him questions and following up. Sorry, Tara.
Let me ask you a question. Do you know who owns that station? What station is it? Is it CBS, ABC?
It's I believe it's CBS. I'm sure my mom's going to text me any minute now, but I think it's like it's WWNY7. Yeah, it's not Sinclair. It's not Sinclair.
It could be Sinclair. It could be Tegna, because they're also Trumpy, right? It could be Tegna, Nexstar. Like a lot of these Trumpy
Gray Media. I don't know what that is, but that's who owns
I'm not
it.
sure what that is. But a lot of them own these local stations. They've been buying up these local stations for years so they could control this. Remember a couple years ago, the Sinclair stations made those local stations and reporters read that like propaganda statement. Yeah. That was something straight out of fucking 1984. It was insane. And they were like reading this in a way where people were like you knew it was robotic. And they were like, this isn't real. But they were forced to do it because that's what they had to do because the owners of the station wanted them to do that. Did you see the clip I sent this morning about with Homan with Mika on Morning Joe? Yeah. No, that was crazy also. Because Mika said to him, she's like, you're disappearing people. And he was like, no, we're not. He got real defensive. He goes, you say disappearing people, but these are criminals. And blah, blah, blah. She's like, and then even she, who knows better, was a softball interview. She let him get away with saying that these are criminals being deported. Oh, you have a problem with criminals being deported? No, she should have said, you are snatching American citizens without due process. That's what you're doing. Don't sit here and lie on this network about what's happening. We see it with our own eyes. You have masked agents who are not identifying themselves that are snatching people off the streets without due process. How is that okay? Because he's like, well, criminals, they go. No, criminals have due process. You're not doing that. He never did it. She was passive, you know. I don't know. She had a little scarf, and she was just like,
well,
and just
like,
really quick,
that
station is owned by CBS and CBS and Fox, owned by Gray Media, formerly owned by the Watertown Daily Times, which is local. But anyways, that's the overlord.
So it's a CBS affiliate. Well, there you go.
Well, Tara, that's because, well, I think you might have missed this because why would you be reading the New York Post while you were gone? But there was a little story about Mika and Joe yesterday or the day before, where Mika conceded that yes, indeed, they're still in touch with Trump after that Mar-a-Lago little summit that they had.
And you know, are you serious?
100%. This is what I'm saying. Turn off Morning Joe. Turn it off.
Oh, yeah, turn it off. Fuck Joe Scarborough.
I haven't watched 1 minute. I have not watched.
Not since that day, right, Tara?
Since that day, not one. The only thing
either
are clips. I just saw. I happened to see a clip on social media, but I refuse to watch them for this. I mean, shame on them. Sorry.
Yeah. Joe Scarborough can kiss my Jersey fucking ass, okay? And too. And I wrote a Substack about that because he went after Newsom. Fuck you. I'm sorry, and I'm feeling very salty, but fuck you, Joe. Like stop it. The one fucking person, not one, but one of the people who's standing up right now, and you're like, this is embarrassing. Go eat shit. You go
exactly. Go follow Mar-a-Lago more.
Exactly. And by the
way, stop.
Right, and I think
sorry, Julie's back.
Sorry, but we all I can. Just about everybody I know respects Heather Cox Richardson, and she is by no means hyperbolic, right? And what she says is that the time to stand up is not the midterms; it is now. It is right now, and it is by using your voice, by calling out corruption, by speaking truth to power, by not capitulating and obeying in advance. And if you're a journalist, if you call yourself a fucking journalist and you can comply with appeasing mushmouth, who I've just decided looks like a fucking aspic version of Grimace, if you want to appease aspic Grimace,
aspic
fucking dark hands, tangled fucking predator.
No, my favorite dog of all time, my little puppy who died a few years ago, was named Grimace. Don't defile.
Sorry,
okay, but not Grimace.
Aspic not Grimace. Okay, Aspic hamburger. I don't know, Hamburglar. I don't know, whatever. If you cannot stand up in this moment and at least do your job, then don't do that job. Go be a greeter at fucking Walmart. Go change urinal cakes in rest stop bathrooms on the Oklahoman Panhandle. Don't put the name journalist in your job description, because you're not one. Because right now, what you are doing is the kind of thing that people look back at Germany and say, what were they doing then? That's what you're doing now. And maybe, Michelle, that's a nice guy. Maybe he's a Democrat. Maybe he's...
Well, I'm not going to out anybody, but, you know.
Who just needs to do his job. I understand. But at what cost? What is the price tag of doing that? What does it cost our country so that you get some sound bites?
Yeah,
that's right. This is what you need by.
Right. I was just following orders. We heard that before.
And let me tell you, just when I say that not outing anybody, I just mean like a political affiliation. Like I don't know. I have a feeling. Again, I haven't seen Jeff Cole or talked to him in a very long time. He used to be the master of ceremonies of the Miss New York pageant, and I used to perform at it every year. So that's like how we would hang out during rehearsals and stuff. That was 20 years ago. So, you know, but from what I know, you know, he's a fairly nice guy, and I get it. It's a small town and whatever else, but like, come on.
Well,
come on.
Let me say this. In 1993, I was 20 years old and I was doing a semester abroad in England. And so I and a friend were bumming around Europe with like $20 in our pocket, sleeping basically outside in every like park and hostel you could possibly do, which is exactly what you should be doing when you're 20. And it's a total rite of passage. And anybody here who's that age, I highly recommend it. But the first place,
now. I mean,
you could do it now. Well, Listen, I wish I could, but unfortunately I have a family who don't want to deal with me. But anyway, so the point is, I was in Berlin and it was 1993. So it was not that, it was, about 40 years, less than 40 years after the end of World War II, which is really not that long. And every time I would see somebody walking by me who was 65 or older, or maybe even 60 and older, I was thinking, this is totally unfair. I was thinking, and what were you doing?
Yeah.
And I was walking, I remember this so clearly. I was walking down a street in Berlin, which is a very famous street called the Unter der Linden, which is like their big kind of throughway that goes past the Reichstag. And
It's
all
like
I could think
of Berlin.
Berlin. And all I could think was, as a Jew, if this were 40 years ago, I would be carted away to my death. And one day, not so long from now, somebody who is from South America or Central America, or Russia for that matter, because they're doing this to Russian refugees too, which is so heartbreaking to me, I can't even talk about it, is going to be walking down the streets of New York City. And they're going to look at all of us and they're going to say, and what were you doing in 2025?
Yep.
And it won't be fair because the four of us and everybody on this chat, for the most part, have been doing everything we possibly can, but it doesn't matter because we're Americans. And this is being done in our name.
Yeah.
And
that's what I said about being overseas and feeling this. Like it was like a palpable feeling for me of just like sadness. I'm like, oh my God, all the way down to like we've been blessed to be able to travel. My husband with his job has been able to travel the world 3 times. I've been able to travel when I was a congressional staffer, and then obviously over the last few years. And I have never experienced the type of everyone always wants to come to the US.
Yeah.
Like they're always like, oh my God, it's my goal. I can't wait. Like I've been saving my whole life. And one of our Airbnb hosts, she was so cute. She actually visited the US for the first time because she fell in love with Leroy from Fame. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Same age.
Wow.
And she's like, she's great. I mean, it's a great show. But I was she's like, I loved Leroy and I wanted to go to visit LaGuardia. Speaking of my
it's right
husband.
down the street. Oh my God.
Hi, Marcel.
Perfect. That was perfect. That was amazing.
Oh my God. That's the famous dance. But she finally saved up enough for her and her husband to go to New York this year because she was like obsessed since she was a kid, and she's like, it felt a little different. Like I was excited to go, like I finally see New York City, but like it wasn't the same. And I'm like, it broke my heart because I'm like, she's right. I don't have an answer for her.
I'm like,
right.
But he's making America great.
Yeah,
it's crazy. And so like when you guys say, like when we talk about this and it's like, the road to hell was paved with good intentions, right? So there's a lot of people who are like, oh, well, maybe or maybe not. But it's like, but also evil triumphs when good men do nothing.
That's
and
right.
We are in that moment now. That's why we do what we do. That's why, despite being on vacation, I'm like, no, I still need to hop on and be a part of what's going on because it's so important that people know that we are out here fighting for this. As much as I would love to just stay in Europe and drink wine all day, we can't. We've got work to do. There's work to do. And I'm not, what do I always say, Michelle? I don't want to be part of the generation that loses democracy in America.
Yep.
Do you?
Yep.
We challenge people this every single day. And I don't want to be that person. So Julie, when you ask those questions about, where would you, who were you, what were you doing? Joe, when you ask that question, we should ask people that every single day. We know what we're doing, but why aren't enough more Americans in the streets every day like they are around the world, from Israel to South America to wherever, when they know that what's happening at home in their countries is not okay? They at greater risk show up in the streets en masse and say, enough, not today, we're not doing this. Americans privileged and we're spoiled until we lose it, and we're trying not to do that, because once you lose it, it's real hard to get it back.
Well,
So I was just going to say really quick that there were some people last night in Washington, D.C., because while Russia was sending drones into Polish airspace, Donald Trump and his cabinet were out getting dinner at Joe's Stone Crab restaurant in D.C.
One of my favorite places in D.C.
And here's
What, you know.
Oops, hold on. Let me go.
Hitler of our time! Free DC! Free Palestine! Trump is the Hitler of our time! Free DC! Free Palestine! Trump is the Hitler of our time! Free DC! Free Palestine! Trump is the Hitler of our time!
Like,
I love it.
Just really
it's always women.
for them.
It's always women,
Of course.
first of all. Second
Yeah.
of all, do people know the courage that it takes to
Yeah.
shout in the face of the
Mhm.
of the
Yes.
leader of the so-called
This
free
one in
world?
particular.
The
Yeah.
courage that requires, most
Mhm.
of us will never know.
And that
Good for them.
that video, there's several of them. Those videos have gone super viral for good reason, right? Because it gives teeth. It gives action to how so many people are feeling, to watch him standing there, having to listen to them, knowing no matter
Oh,
what
he was mad. Oh, he was mad.
because you know what he would love to do
Oh.
to them. He would.
Well, you saw there was a story. There's a story in the Daily Beast this morning about how MAGA world is pissed at the Secret Service for allowing those women to get away with that. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck off. This is America. You're allowed to criticize the president of the United
And you
States.
know what?
They
You
can
go out in
love
public
him and
just
say
what
whatever
you
the hell
forget.
they want.
yeah.
Exactly.
Can I
It's not the Secret Service's job to stop people from speaking. Unless they're a threat to the president, they are not supposed to stop them. So
And the-
too bad. We still live in a democracy. Get over yourselves. He's not a fucking king.
But
I'm
can
going to guess here, but I don't know. I'm just going to guess here that they wouldn't have let him in without knowing, first of all, that no one was posing a physical threat, right? That, like, first of all, they had to know, right? So they were using their freedom of speech, and that is still protected in this country. To your point, and that is something that, like, again, is not political. That overwhelmingly, I love Heather Cox Richardson. I'm just going to cite her again. Overwhelmingly, the majority of people in this country do not want to lose that. And so that, I think, is part of the reason why those videos of that protest, and good job. I hope they got some stone crabs while they were at it before the fucker walked in there. Good job on their part for doing that and watching him just get out, and they're not leaving, and he can't summon them fast enough.
And he always has that
right.
shit-eating grin when he's really
Yes.
mad. He goes, and
Yep.
he did it at the end of the Kamala
Yes.
clip too, where she
Yep.
talks about, he goes,
Yeah.
Ugh,
And he
so
did
mad.
it.
anyway.
He
Well,
did it
All
at
right,
the U.S.
I'm
Open,
gonna
and
leave
he was
you because
eating
it's
food.
actually starting to rain where I am. But I'm gonna leave you guys. Let you guys. I know. I'm like, what is
You don't
happening?
feel bad.
Even though it is still lovely, there is
Oh my
some rain
God.
happening, and there's a doggy. We have a doggy.
Aw.
We have a kitty out here
House is
too.
beautiful,
But
Tara.
Heaven on earth.
fine.
Heaven
well,
on earth.
listen. My friends built this basically. They this edition with their own hands. It was a COVID project to add on to this. This was like a very the stone house here in Sicily. Like, it's literally in the mountains, but they built a whole bunch of like additions to this by themselves. I don't know how they did it. And this is where my husband and I got married in Sicily. We stayed here with them 12 years ago. So we haven't
land of
been
my
back
husband's
to this-
people in Sicily.
Yeah, like we haven't been back. Yes, your husband's. I told you they.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Mm.
yeah, a joke about it. But anyway, we hadn't been back in 12 years. And so it was an opportunity for us to come back here and experience it, and watching all the beautiful work that they've done. So anyway, so that's why we're here. I'm coming back tomorrow. So it all ends tomorrow. I'm going to go eat food, drink wine, and get out of this rain, which it like never rains here, which is crazy. I don't know what's happening because we're talking about Trump. It's Trump's fault. So anyway, love you guys. Just want to say hi.
Bye.
Carry
Stay
on.
safe.
Travels.
Thanks for dropping in, Tara. Bye.
Happy
Tara.
birthday.
Get her out of here with that wine.
Like, look at her in the glass. She's empty. What are you doing?
I just just add one thing to this whole DC, this coda, to this stupid DC thing?
Yeah.
That happened last night. He was having dinner, and I want people to understand what's going on. Russia is sending drones into Poland, right? So there you go. I don't know who Ian Malula is, but he basically was right.
The reporter, yeah.
Russia is launching a full-scale drone attack above NATO airspace in Poland, and the Commander-in-Chief, Secretary of State, and Secretary of Defense are Joe Stonecrab. Okay, they stayed at Joe Stonecrab, right? This is the Secretary of Defense and his Secretary of State, who should have been in the Situation Room with the President and the Vice President, because again, as Donald Tusk, the Prime Minister of Poland, said yesterday, this is as serious a threat to Poland's sovereignty, I'm paraphrasing here, as anything since World War II. And that country was invaded by the Soviet Union. And he's still saying that's more serious. Okay, so, and that is a NATO country that can invoke Article 5 at any moment. Grandpa wakes up after spending all night probably digesting his ribeye and tweets out today, or truths out today at 10:09 a.m. like he's fucking Jerry Seinfeld, sorry dad. What's with Russia violating Poland's airspace with drones?
Oh my God.
Here we go. Exclamation point. Here we go.
I just don't.
Remember he truthed out a couple months ago, Vladimir, stop.
What? Here we go. Here we go. What?
I can't. It's like,
well, again,
trolling
like,
us all.
I think he honestly and truly, I mean, he got reelected, like, believes that we are fucking stupid. All of us are fucking stupid enough.
He hates
to be like, well, he really cares about this conflict. He really wants Vladimir to stop killing, and he really wants the Russian soldiers to stop.
Vladimir, stop
it. Don't. And I'm really not happy. And we had a lovely. This is 2, 5, 7. I don't know, 9 threats of very serious consequences ago, where he was like, "And we have a beautiful phone call," and then Melania says, "Honey, he has bombed them again." And I say, "But we had such a nice phone call." Fuck off. This is honestly, like, he honestly, and it maybe works, he truly believes that if he just truths, that he doesn't understand what's happening, that he has enough deniability that it doesn't look like what it is, which we talked about offline last night, which is him giving a blank check to Putin, Netanyahu, and whoever else whoever else wants to do whatever they want to do. There's some bottom line in this shit for him. Or maybe it's just that his little tiny, teeny, pocket-sized peen comes to attention when he thinks that these strong men like him, because he's letting them do whatever they want. If they want to bomb Qatar, if they want to freaking invade Taiwan, if they want to, whatever they want to do, if they want to keep bombing Ukraine, if they want to fly drones into Poland, but he doesn't like it as long as he truths about it. And honestly, that is infuriating, that he thinks that we're stupid enough to buy that shit. And just to sort of segue really fast, that he thinks that we are stupid enough to believe that the Democrats are so good at the long game that 20 plus years ago, some forger was like, you know what? In 20 years, a forged smutty birthday drawing to a pedophile is going to be the biggest scandal of all time. I'm going to put it in a leather binder. I'm going to give it to the Epstein estate, which, why the fuck is there an Epstein estate? Why does every dollar of that money go to the
who has it?
And then I'm going to have Congress subpoena this shit after we let him win a second fucking term, and then we're going to drop it. This forged birthday card that is 1,000% his signature, but we're stupid enough. We're all collectively stupid enough to go, makes sense to me. Yeah. Why wouldn't? I'm sorry, but like, that is infuriating. And the plurality of the dumbest, most selectively self-sabotaging stupids on the planet put him back in office. But that doesn't mean that the rest of us are idiots, okay? And I'm tired. I'm going to just make that my over it, because my over it was about, well, it's part of it. I'm tired of them thinking that we're stupid. And the other thing that is part of my over it and thinking that we're stupid is that they continue to tell us. He was at a Bible museum the other day where he donated one of his Bibles, which, by the way, he was selling for profit.
Yeah, there's a new White House version of it now, right?
Oh, God.
Yeah, that's what I saw the other day. There's like a new White House version, like updated of the Bible.
You want a free Bible? Open up a any hotel drawer and take it.
The Holly Bibble.
And they're trying to pass him off once again. The coincidence of him doing this, making prayer great again, when the friggin' smutty drawing drops is just mind-blowing, staggering. But the fact that they continue to try and gaslight us and to make us think that we're losing our minds by presenting this person, this thrice married, serial philandering, pathologically lying, convicted felon who has been found liable of what can be called rape. Yes, Nancy Mace. This terrible person who bragged about grabbing women by the pussy, mocked a disabled reporter, disparaged a POW, demeaned a Gold Star family, incited violence against this country, and then pardoned every single person who partook in that violence, that he's devout. Fuck you. He is not devout. He was not sent by God. And I am not going to be gaslit into you fucking shoving that shit down my throat. That's my over it.
Well said. Well said. And to sum up, because you did so well, you're absolutely right. This is the gaslighting is what's offensive. And the MAGA base fucking wants to be gaslit. They actually don't.
Yeah, they like it. I think they like it.
They don't believe it.
Yeah.
But we think that if they repeat it, they're sticking it to the libs. And that's what's important.
Yeah.
These survivors, listen, these are QAnon freak shows who literally had like a jihad they were going to institute against some poor pizza owner in DC.
Yeah.
Running some pedophile ring out of some pizza parlor, which by the way, never, ever, ever, ever happened.
Yeah. And this is a page. There's a whole section in the Epstein book, and we showed this. Julie and I did a little show on the Daily Dispatch yesterday about this. But Julie K. Brown, who's one of the journalists who was first on the ground about this, she said there's a whole section of Epstein's birthday book labeled "Children," with photographs of a very young girl posing and what appears to be letters in a child's handwriting. Why and when did the Republican Party become the political party that defends and protects pedophiles?
I'll tell you when it became something that the libs, quote unquote, didn't want them to do. If we say black, they'll say white. If we say up, they'll say down. It's just a fact of life. And by the way, the whole QAnon thing, the whole who's Q, it's some fucking Russian operation. Do we not get this? But these people all ginned up over what they read on the internet.
Yeah.
And became these proselytizers of some moron sitting in some Russian St. Petersburg troll factory who put this out there, most likely.
The Russians had our number, man.
And they literally create this whole thing about how they're going to take out pedophiles. And if you're disagreeing with them, their new insult was you're a pedophile. Like that. How many times you have been called a pedophile on Twitter, Joe?
Because they knew that was the crime that was the most unforgivable. They knew that anybody who was against the death penalty would say, well, I'm against the death penalty except for people who hurt children. And like that is a line for a lot of people. And they knew and they know that is the one crime that is just unforgivable and so awful and so disgusting until now.
Well, right. And yeah. And actually, I have a post out now, which will be my Substack tomorrow, about how they have consistently moved the line, right? How the party has everything I just cited. I thought foolishly, whether maybe this is foolishly or whether maybe this is just me being a human being with the capacity for compassion and empathy. I truly and honestly believed it was over at Mexicans are rapists. Then I truly and honestly believed it was over when he mocked that reporter. Then I honestly and truly believed it was over when he demeaned John McCain being a POW. I truly and honestly, fundamentally to my core, believed it was over when he bragged about grabbing women by the pussy. I believed in every one of those moments that party, the party that my father believed in until W, but the party that my father used to hold up as the promise of America, that shining city on a hill, right? That he believed in this country and in that party. I believed every single solitary time that would be the line. I believed it in the wake of January 6th. I believed it as I was watching January 6th. I believed it as Lindsey Graham said he was out. I believed that that party had a line, and they have continued to move that line for power and access to power, and that is it. And now they've moved the line on Vladimir Putin. And today we are talking about a political party that has moved the line on pedophilia, that has moved the line. Yesterday, their guy said that 2 days ago that domestic violence isn't a real crime. And then his secretary of propaganda stood behind that podium with a fucking cross. And she said that those women were making it up. This is a party. Just keep moving the line.
There is no bottom, I think is what the point is. There is no bottom. And Carolyn Levitt is all of 27 or 28 years old.
Yeah.
I don't know what she's gone through in her life. But I will tell you, there are women who've gone through, Joe, you're one of them, who've gone through hell. And for the president of the United States to stand up and say that the crime rate would be a lot lower if those women just shut their mouth and let their husbands do to them what they want is just evidence of the fact that there is no bottom. And by the way, that party is propped up by white women.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like us. And have they not, I mean, like, how many Trump voters have been domestic violence survivors? I bet you a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I bet you a lot, because it happens a lot. And I bet you a lot of them voted for Trump. Yeah. And the thing is, they will continue to vote for Trump.
Yeah.
Because I forgot who I was talking to, but there was some story that somebody told me about. Oh, yeah. Somebody told me about Arkansas farmers.
Oh, yeah.
Who are going bankrupt.
A third of them, I think, was it? I forget what the deadline was, but a third of them will be bankrupt.
And apparently, there's some sort of farmers conference in Arkansas that the governor shows up to, the two senators show up to, and all these politicians show up to. They did not this year because they were so afraid of these farmers. And the person who said this to me, didn't say it to me, said it to a friend, is from Arkansas, very well established politically in Arkansas. And he said, you know what? Those farmers will still vote for Trump. They'll still vote for Trump. And they're going bankrupt. They'll take it out on maybe on their governor and their senators, but they'll still vote Republican. It's not like the Democrats are going to get control back in Arkansas anytime soon. It is that book, What's the Matter with Kansas, that was written about 20 years ago about why does Kansas keep voting Republican when Republicans back in the Bush years, if not earlier, when Republicans do everything possible to screw people in Kansas. It is the same stuff happening over and over and over and over again. And to the point of what you were saying before, Michelle, about why media is so important and why we should just give up on legacy media. And it breaks my heart to say, because I literally have spent 20 years working around legacy media. And I will tell you right now, the reason I'm over it, and the reason has a lot to do with what Joe said, is that they're not reporting it the way it should be reported. It should be reported the way Joe just said it. Yeah. Right? Like, there's no black and white here. I keep saying this and using this analogy. Like, one person says the earth is round, but one person says the earth is flat. Let's both have them here to debate it. No. One person says domestic violence is not a big deal and shouldn't even be considered a crime. And everybody else who has half a fucking brain, sorry, dad in their head says, actually, why don't you go speak to a domestic violence survivor and you tell me whether you think it's a crime, not just in the moment. And Joe, I am not here to speak for you, and I'm not a survivor of domestic violence, so I am completely projecting here. But I suspect not just in the moment when you're getting abused, but the worst abuse is the psychological toll it takes on you afterwards for the rest of your life. Yeah. And you tell me how you have the president of the United States say that, and everybody moves on. Yeah. They just move on. They just move on.
Well, I think that's it's even more important why, as women, we have to continue to remind each other and young women especially how far we have come and how not that long ago women couldn't have bank accounts. women, it wasn't until the 90s that it was considered a crime in all 50 states. It was a crime to rape your wife. Like before that, it was not considered a crime. Like these are progressive, laws to protect women and to give women freedom and autonomy over the last several decades that took a lot of sacrifice and hard work. And a lot of women, swept up in it, getting hurt and sacrificing themselves. And here we are in 2025, and we have right-wing podcasters, it's very prevalent, talking about how women should not have the right to vote, that women never wanted to have the right to vote. I've talked to so many women that said they wish that they never had it because they would be willing to give up their right to vote if it meant all these liberal women don't vote, and we wouldn't have abortion, we wouldn't have all this stuff. And I know so many women that would just be willing to give that up and just have one vote per household. And that is a prevalent talking point on the right now. And so never underestimate how far they're going to go with this. It will never end.
Don't forget that the Secretary of Small in the Pants, he posted his pastors stuff, his pastor at his church,
Doug Wilson,
is one of the people who has continuously said that women do not and should not have the right to vote. The Secretary of, I don't know what the fuck you want to call him, okay? Day drunkenness at an Applebee's in a strip mall, whatever you want to call him. He does not believe that we have the right to vote. This is also someone, by the way, since we're sort of talking about them rewarding and empowering and emboldening predators, he's also someone who had to settle out of court with a woman who accused him of assault. Right? His, I think, sister-in-law, someone said that he also partook in domestic violence, was the perpetrator of domestic violence, right? So at the highest levels of government, we're already seeing this embrace of us being their, at their beck and call, their handmaidens. And then he says something out loud out loud about domestic violence. And then a woman who is a mother stands up there and defends what he said, but actually goes one step further. And that is something that if we let that continue to pass, it is a terribly dangerous, not even slippery sliding slope. It's a fucking cliff fall, right? And that's very much what they want. And that's the stuff where, like, I apologize. I know I should never apologize for crying. I cry a lot, but like as a human being, right? As a survivor, but as a mom, both of a 12-year-old girl and a almost 16-year-old boy. Like what Tara said about not being we're not losing democracy on our watch. I'm not going to let my daughter be subjected to this reality that these motherfucking losers would like her to be subjected to for the rest of her life. I'm not going to be the generation that let that happen. I'm sorry. No way.
It's interesting you say this, Joe, because, I run this nonprofit called Lift Our Voices, which is, I guess, one of the last standing Me Too nonprofits in the country. But my co-founder, Gretchen Carlson, who some people here might know, is the woman who was the first to speak out about Roger Ailes' behavior at Fox News. And I always say when people ask us why I have a son, she has a son. We say this we're doing for our boys. Because we need to make sure that boys are raised to be men who respect women. And it's not enough to say that your daughter, Joe, is somebody who can't live under this. Your daughter shouldn't live under this because we shouldn't be around men. She should not be around men who behave this way. It's not up to your daughter to stand up. It is up to these boys and these men to behave like real men and not like cosplaying tough guys, which is what this fucking administration does with their stupid caked on makeup and their, and their tight
weird
push-ups and their pull-ups and their bullshit to try to convince the rest of us that they're real men. I have hung out with some of these quote unquote real men. You want to know a story about Marco Rubio, who is supposedly a real man in this administration? When he announced his run for president in 2015, the 2016 election, he was on the 5 on the show that I used to co-host, and I was sitting right there next to him. And I was told, do not go hard on Marco Rubio.
What?
Yep. You know why?
He is such a beta. I can't.
He's a little, I hate the word bitch because that is
whatever. I use it for people like Marco Rubio and Scott Jennings.
It has misogynistic overtones. So whatever
Yeah,
equivalent of that is, he's a little fucking snowflake. Pete Hegseth, hung out with him a lot, a little fucking snowflake. A little fucking snowflake. Donald Trump, the biggest snowflake of all. You know why? Because if that were Joe Biden and Joe Stone Crab yesterday, and people came up to him and said that free Palestine, which they used to shout all the time, Joe Biden didn't say get him out of here. Joe Biden would stand there
and he'd take it.
And take their hand.
And take it. He'd take it. And so would every Democrat I've ever worked for. Every single one. And I worked for a lot. All of them would sit there and they take it. You know why? Because they understand that even if they disagree, those people have the right to say it.
Yep.
So these men who pretend to be men are the biggest fucking snowflakes of all. They want their little safe spaces. If I had $1 for every segment of Fox I used to do about snowflakes and these college kids on campus, they're so woke, they're all snowflakes, they want their safe spaces. Really? I mean, by the way, true. But you know who wants their safe spaces more than any of those?
Oh, God. Yeah.
These people. Because you just saw a video of Donald Trump saying, get him out of here. Now, listen, I think these people who showed up yesterday are incredibly brave. I think they should stick to one message and one message only, which is either free DC or free Palestine or Trump's a Hitler or whatever else. Because you're out, you're mixing your messages here a lot, but it doesn't matter. The point is they did it. They showed up. They had the courage to look the president, the vice president, the secretary of defense, and the Secretary of State in the eye and scream at them and exercise their First Amendment right. And what did this little fucking snowflake do? Sorry, Dad. Get him out of here. And by the way, if we're talking about snowflakes, stop Vladimir. Please stop Vladimir. Oh, please don't do this, Vladimir. No. Dad, mute it right now. Turn this off. This is what you say to Vladimir Putin. You look straight into the fucking camera. Sorry, Dad. And you say, Volodya, idi na khuy mudak. Which if you speak Russian, you know exactly what I said. And I'm so sorry, Dad, because that is the worst thing that's ever come out of my mouth. But that is how you speak to Vladimir Putin. You don't say to him, so Vladimir, oh my God, what? Oh my God, what's with the drones? Oh my God, here we go. What are you, fucking Ricky Martin? Here we go. What are you talking about?
Go.
Yeah.
Well, and just really quick.
I'm not, somebody here in the chat asked to translate. I literally, it's so bad. I can't translate it. I don't think there's an English equivalent that's that bad. So,
well,
yeah.
Julie, if you wouldn't mind just for, take a minute. And I would love, just for people who don't know this, when Julie was at Fox News and she had a digital show and she did often speak in Russian. And I would love for people to actually know what that was about and what happened after so that, people can understand the power of what it is that you say.
Yeah. So I never said anything like what I just said now.
Yeah.
Because I've never had those words come out of my mouth. But and
I'm going to put that into Google Translate later. But yeah,
not put that into Google Translate because I don't know if Google Translate can translate it into. I honestly don't think. Let me say this: Russian curse words are really bad, and I don't think there's an English equivalent. But anyway, but what I would say, so yes, I had the show, and they stupidly gave me this little digital show, which is hilarious because they weren't taking digital seriously back then, and so. I had this producer named Emily, who's fantastic, who's no longer there anymore. And she and I were in the Resistance there together. And so we had this little digital show, which is hilarious because all I would do is look, it was called The Clapback, which sounds a little bit like a sexually transmitted disease, but I was supposed to, because people kept tweeting me all the time and they were obviously saying horrible things to me because I was the token Democrat there. So the whole premise of the show was I was supposed to clap back to their tweets and just improvise and just riff. And I'm kind of, if I'm good at one thing, it's sticking it to people on the fly. And a lot of times there were people there who were Russian bots, it turns out later, who were tweeting at me. And of course, it was very apparent to me that they were Russian bots because their English was not quite American. It was kind of phrased exactly like you would phrase if you were translating it from Russian into English. So I would look straight into the camera and I would speak in Russian to Vladimir Putin. And I would tell him to stop invading Ukraine and to stop. This is back in 2015, 2016. So stop, taking over Crimea and you're never going to win, and stop threatening the West, and you're never going to get your way. Little did I know Donald Trump was going to show up one day. And I didn't think anybody was watching, but the Russian government was watching, because they called Fox and complained that I was a Russophobe. And I was like, it's very hard to be a Russophobe when you're Russian, but okay. And it makes a whole kind of international incident. But I didn't stop, and I would not stop. And
then years later, you were on a list.
Years later, yes, as a result of all this, I find myself on a list of Putin's hit list, along with a bunch of other people. So, yes, I will not be vacationing on the Volga anytime soon. That's not the point. The point is, if I could say it, the president would say it.
Exactly.
If the was vacationing on the Volga, that would really sound like a sad
Oh
thing.
God, yeah.
Not
back when vacation on the Volga. You know, and I just want to say to the two of you, and you know, Tara, obviously, I would say if she was here too, it's like I think you're both so brave, and I am just so proud to know both of you all the time. And you know, we're doing the best we can here, and you know, if we can lead by example, we will continue to do that. And we hope that you'll stick around. Please like and subscribe to Mayday Network. We have not officially launched yet, but you know, we're just trying to build out some content based on what we've been doing over the last several months. So please like and subscribe. That's way you'll get notified first when Julie and I do our little things day to day. Go find the Siren as well. We're so proud of you, JoJo. Go find the Siren, subscribe to the Siren. There's lots of voices and content happening there as well. Because F the legacy media, because they're not doing any of us any favors. So with that said, we all have to go. It's been a wonderful conversation. Thank you both. Do you have anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I just really quickly, since we were talking about what you can actually do and how this is the moment when you need to be standing up and speaking out. And one of the tools that Republicans have been using in their toolbox, you know, is gerrymandering. And they've done this in Texas where they're rigging the maps even worse than they were already rigged, Missouri, at Florida, et cetera, Ohio. So tonight at 4:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific, I'll be joining the FAFO 50 event, which is to stop election rigging for California. It's on Proposition 50, which is the proposition that California is putting to their voters. By the way, their constituents are getting to decide if they want their state to also change their maps to gain 5 seats back, because that's what the Republicans have done in Texas. I'm very excited. You can go to not excited. That's like the wrong word. Not excited. I'm fired up to fight back. I'm not excited by any of this because this is terrible.
No,
and
much rather be vacationing on the coast of Italy.
Exactly. But you can go to FAO50.com. That's tonight. I'm paired up with Senator Alex Padilla, who is also going to be on my podcast to talk about that, and SCOTUS today.
Is that right, Joe?
Yeah, FAFO50.com. That's right. 4:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific. It's a crazy lineup. Elizabeth Warren, Beto O'Rourke, Pete Buttigieg, Senator Padilla,
Carducci,
and Joanne Carducci.
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much. I'm honored to be included on the list. But like there are things that I can do right now, which is this. Also, everybody out there, you can. This is not just California, obviously. You can just share that with your friends, share it with your neighbors. Show up. You can donate. You can just even share the tweets, whatever it is. Like
right.
You don't
clicking
have to
helps.
Yeah. So like this is a moment right now, and I just wanted to bring attention to that. This is a moment right now, like Heather Cox Richardson says, where we need to stand up now. We're going to be judged by what we did right now. And if we look back in a year and we say we coulda, shoulda, woulda, it'll be too late.
Yeah. I remember during the election too, I remember being like, I don't want to wake up on November 6th feeling like I could have done more. And we did as much as we could. And now we're on the other side of it and we will keep going. So
guys, seriously, go to Joe's, go to the Siren, because she has great, I'm going to say this because Joe's too modest. She has incredible content. She has incredible people there, from foreign policy experts to people who are military experts to domestic experts like Joe and others. Please do it and stick with us on Mayday also. But when we launch, we'll let you know. But the key here is, and I'm not saying, I know it sounds self-serving because this is what we're trying to do. like we're doing this because there's a vacuum to be filled.
Yeah.
Because the legacy media is not doing it. If
Yeah.
they were doing a good job, Jo would not be taking off with the siren the way she is. People would still be watching MSNBC. But
That's
there's
right.
a reason why these places are taking off an independent media. It's because, unfortunately, it's not happening the way it wasn't happening last night, the way it's not happening now. All they're doing is chasing ratings right now. The ratings are Epstein, so that's all they're talking about. Important topic. I have a newsletter on it tomorrow. But the point is, there are things that are equally important. They're just not talking about because it's whatever they decide the ratings are. So please go to the siren and tune in tonight to Joe's for sure, because that's really important. California, that's a tighter, I don't know if people know this. That's not a slam dunk.
No. And they're being, I mean, I got an email. I don't know how true it is. I got an email from Newsom's people today that said they're being outspent. I mean, I don't know how true that is, but I'm sure there's a lot of money coming from the other side.
Money. It's not even Republicans. It's actually good government people who are naive, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and think that, but I mean, they're like naive.
I know.
So
rules, they're playing by old rules, just not the rules of the game anymore.
You can't plan for futures like for a world that doesn't exist anymore. Like we have to continue. Yeah.
Joe Biden played by the rules. He was an amazing man, a good human being. He lost, and that's where we are now. We can't do that. So please.
Merrick Garland played by the
rules. So
look where we are now.
Go and watch Joe and watch all of these other amazing people, from Padilla to Buttigieg to Warren to Newsom.
Leslie Jones.
I produced an ad with her a couple years ago. She's amazing.
She's joining from the nail salon. Like that's like she's getting her nails done.
Oh, nails.
Because
perfect.
I'm like, it's so cool. Like, this is what we got to do. We got to do this. This is what we got to do. Yeah. And Harry Dunn is joining the Siren Network as a contributor. I just want to
really? That's great.
That's
congrats. Mazel. Yeah.
Yeah. So excited for that. Thank you guys so much. And this is cathartic as always. And you guys, you really, honestly, all of you and everybody in the chat, you keep me somewhat adjacent to the word sane. So thank you for that. Really,
Sane-ish.
Sane-ish.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Stay safe.
Bye.
Bye.